also make a few announcements that pertain to the township area, as well as some events that are coming up. To tell you the origins of the event, Justin and I both are involved with local nonprofits. We frequent local businesses and generally spend most of our time here in Lawrence Township. Therefore, we talk a lot. We're friends, colleagues. We have a lot of friends and that run in the same circles, so we see each other quite a bit. We both have had a lot of people comment that there were a lot of candidates this time around, and they know little to nothing about some of them. Some of them they know a great deal. Some of them they don't know much about. Some of them they didn't even know that there were 5 candidates running this time around. So this became so frequent that Justin and I decided that it would be beneficial for both the candidates as well as the voters to hold an event where information could be shared. Justin and I both care a great deal about this area. We do not want the job of trustee to turn into just some kind of popularity contest. We want the most qualified candidate in the eyes of the people to win the job. So tonight presents the opportunity for our candidates to explain to you, the voters, why they deserve your vote to be the Lawrence Township trustee. As for the announcements, first, we have coming up the Bolivar Main Street Association Christmas on the Canal, which is Saturday, November 11th, starting at 3:30 and running until 7 p.m. Santa will return to the Santa House on both Saturday, December 16th, as well as December 23rd from 3 to 5 for pictures. Secondly, Saturday, December 2nd is Christmas in Zor.
And Sunday the 3rd.
Thank you. He wrote it, not me. Your local BZRC will be selling food as a fundraiser to raise money for the new Rotary Park located across from, is that?
Canal Tavern.
Canal, okay, you did a few.
Bolivar Zor Rotary Club.
Yeah.
Was the BZRC.
Yeah, so Justin's real good with abbreviations that I should have asked him about before. I did not notice those, sorry. So I apologize for that. On Friday, November 10th, there will be a complimentary meal for all of our veterans in celebration of Veterans Day at the Bolivar Army Navy. That will be held from 11 until 1 p.m. And we invite all active duty, retired, and veterans to attend with their families. And finally, regarding the Tusky Valley Renewal Levy, Issue 15, for all area voters, Ashley Claxton is going to come forward and make a statement for today's committee for tomorrow's schools.
Thank you. As Mike mentioned, my name is Ashley Claxton. This is my husband, Matt Claxton. We are residents of Lawrence Township and obviously as well members of the Tuscarawas Valley Local School District. I will be brief, and I'm going to read a little bit so that I don't forget anything. Tuscarawas Valley Local School District voters are asked to consider on this November 7th ballot Issue 15, the renewal of a 10-year school district operating levy. Passage of the renewal levy will not result in a tax increase. If passed, the measure generates $1.875 million per year for the district's day-to-day operations, which include teacher and staff salaries, utilities, maintenance, textbooks, and supplies. This levy was first passed in 2014 for a 10-year term, and it comprises 12% of the district's annual operating budget. Our committee, today's committee for tomorrow's schools, reminds district residents that Tuscarawas Valley Local Schools earned 4.5 of 5 stars on the 2022-23 state report card ranking. The district performed at the highest spot in county rankings and in the top 25% of all Ohio public school districts. And though our district exceeds state performance standards, it spends less per student than state average. Our district boasts a new middle high school, and an in-progress renovation of a middle school building, which will reopen in 2024. as the district's pre-K through 6 elementary school. Both facilities projects have been funded absent an additional voted tax levy, with the local share being paid primarily through tax revenue from the Rover pipeline, and then a lesser state share allocated by the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. My husband and I will be here after the presentation to answer questions, and we encourage all residents of the district to vote yes on Tuesday for issue 15. Thank you.
All right, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin, who is going to give a brief overview of what we're going to do tonight, and he is going to be your moderator. In closing, I'd just like to say thank you for all of you for coming out this evening. We appreciate it. This is the kind of turnout we were hoping for. And also thank you to our candidates for being gracious enough to join us and speak with all of you this evening. Thank you.
Hey, everybody, one more announcement John just reminded me of. Saturday, December 9th, here at the Wilkshire Event Center, the Community Business Association is going to have a special Small Business Saturday. Looks like there'll be businesses set up here, some small shops. You can come support local businesses and buy some local products. And that is the last announcement. All right, before we begin, and I announce the agenda of how and the structure of how this is going to operate, I've got a trivia fact for you. So, who here knows when the concept of a township first began in the United States? Anybody have a guess?
You want the year?
The year. 1620. 1620 is when the township first started in the United States. It was brought over by the Pilgrims. So this township predates our own federal government. And as you know, there are 3 trustees, and this year, 1 seat is up for election, and in 2 years, the other 2 seats will be up for election. So we have 5 candidates running for 1 seat. And in the state of Ohio does set standards for responsible trustees, and I'd like to read those standards. And they are that the trustee votes in the interest of their community. The trustee attends township board meetings on a regular basis. The trustee follows state laws on open meetings and public records. The trustee knows the township's tax structure, its hiring and firing policies, zoning, and other rules. And they know and understand state laws and standards that the township must follow. With that being said, I ask those in the audience tonight to keep in mind those standards set by the great state of Ohio while listening to the candidates. So for the agenda, at first, each candidate will give a 3-minute personal introduction, followed by 3 questions. Every question is going to be the same, followed by a 4th question geared specifically towards the candidate. There will then be a question and answers at the end where, audience, you can raise your hand and ask a question. We'll see how long that lasts. And then after everything's over, we'll have an informal meet and greet. I ask the candidates to stick around for a little bit. And the audience, you can come up and personally meet them and ask your questions to their face. So the speaking order was determined at random. Roxanne Timberlake here drew number 1. So Roxanne, I will give you 3 minutes to give a personal introduction.
Well, thank you so much. So my name is Roxanne, and some of you may know me. I am currently, I've always been, the owner of Ohio Armament in Strasburg. Some of you also may know me because I sing in the area. I've been a singer since I can remember, actually. And can you all hear me? All right, very good.
When she's done, I want to speak and I want to leave.
So, well, if we stand up, we lose our mics. So that's not going to work. So why don't we give a moment and decide what they want to do?
That's going to be addressed
When?
in their speech. It'll be
Okay.
addressed.
No.
Mm-hmm.
According to Best of Oliver, who's going to be first? All right, I'm leaving. I just want to say I'm a nobody from Bolivar. Oliver runs Best of Oliver. Awesome site. I'm grateful we don't get all the crap politics.
Okay, so,
No, I'm just gonna say, I'm a resident.
I'm sorry.
Justin, do you want me to?
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to start? I'm not gonna. All I'm saying is,
Well, you're currently interrupting this lady.
I don't care.
Well, then leave, please.
Who are you? Who are you?
I'm Elaine with Jicky.
Okay.
I raised
Hi,
five.
Elaine.
I wanna leave. I'm tired.
Then leave. This is not the
We have
portion
never
of this.
had a meet and greet because of the crap with the politics, whatever. Paul No, best friend, lives across the street. Matt Ritterbeck. Okay. We're not interested in I just met him. All I'm saying, Bolivar's awesome.
Goodbye.
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 I'm just saying, let them speak their minds, quit the crap. I'm just saying,
They haven't even had a chance to speak.
no, every single one of you that has judged all of these people,
No one's here to judge them, ma'am.
well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Look at that flower.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye. Have a good night.
Best flower. Yeah, good.
I half expected that to happen, but a little later.
So, with that, we're gonna keep going.
Welcome to this evening, everybody.
The show must go on. So, that's what we're gonna do.
The best of Oliver, ladies and gentlemen.
That's all right. You'll get to know me through the questions. So I'm gonna pass. We're gonna go on to.
Are we behind schedule?
Yes, go
now?
ahead.
Are we behind schedule?
Patrick Eddy, you're up next.
Do I have 1 minute now?
We're one.
Yes, my name is Patrick Eddy. 40 years old. I've been a resident of the Village of Zor since 2008. 2002 graduate of Tusky Valley High School. Professionally, I'm a fireman, currently serving as a fire inspector and fire investigator. And, you know, since we're short on time, president of a couple nonprofits and board members of others, and we can move on.
We're not short on time. I'm using it. The whole 3 minutes. Are you done?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Dante.
You want me to stand? I can stand. I'm sorry about the best of Oliver thing. I didn't have anything to do with that. Hi, my name is Dante Mariani, and I'd like to earn your vote for Lawrence Township Trustee. I wrote exactly what I want to say tonight, but I'm going to try not to just read it because I know that's boring. And I'll try not to use my hands too much because I don't know what to do with it. But first, I want to give a big thank you to Mr. Smith for the Wilkshire Event Center letting us come here tonight, and his staff, Mr. Penzo, Mr. Wallace. You guys are all great members of the community, and we appreciate you and this opportunity today. I also want to thank all of you for coming out here today to listen to what I have to say, and the rest of these guys and girl, and appreciate you taking the time to learn about our community and things that I have to say. I do see many of my friends and neighbors here. Some of you know me already, but for those of you that don't, I'll tell you I grew up in Perry Township, just north of here, and I've been a proud and active resident of Lawrence Township and Bolivar for over 16 years. My lovely wife, Bree, grew up here and graduated from the great Tusky Valley High School. We're raising our 9-year-old boy, Mickey, in the village in Bolivar, and we feel right at home. After college, I got a job working for an automotive supplier as an IT director's assistant. I worked there for more than 12 years, learning and growing in the computer industry. And during this time, I met Bree at our mutual friend's house in Wilkshire Hills. It was love at first sight. But since my boss never left his job and I had no room for advancement, I started looking at my options. You fast forward to today, and Bree and I run a small business, PC Copilot, out of our office in North Canton. We offer professional computer services to several small and medium businesses in Stark and Tuscarawas counties. We even have some accounts in Cleveland, Youngstown, and of course Lawrence Township. I created and managed the Best of Bolivar Facebook group.
So
We have over 4,600 members now, and I'm sure you've seen me talk about my ideas for the dog park, the pickleball courts, the playgrounds, LED lights, and all those things on the Best of Bolivar. But we'll talk about those things later. Along with our business and the Best of Bolivar, we both actively participate in the raising and developing of our young boy, Mickey. We go to all his sports practices and games, and for a couple years, he and I were involved in Cub Scouts in Canton South, because there was no Cub Scouts in Bolivar. But COVID pretty much wiped it out, and there was nothing left. But in 2022, the BSA came to Bolivar looking to start that up again. We all met at the intermediate school, and the Boy Scouts admin looked at all the parents and said, okay, now we need some den leaders. He explained all the positions that we needed to get this pack going, and the den leader was one of them. So guess who volunteered to be the den leader for Mickey and his friends? Me. Your next trustee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dante. Matt?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Matt Ritterbeck. I'm 47 years old. Hopefully I don't look a day over 30, right? I've lived in the community. My parents, Howard and Bev Ritterbeck, are here. I'm the only child of them. They moved here in 1977 to be close to the Timken Company. It was a good travel distance there, and they're both from Caldwell, Ohio, Noble County. We still have a 110-acre farm down there. My proudest accomplishment are my 3 children, 2 of which are here already, Matthew and JJ Ritterbeck. Elizabeth will be here soon. I got a bonus son-in-law, Cole Mast. My girlfriend is here too, Tracy Brandt. Man, this adventure, I've been a township trustee for 16 years. I ran for town council in 1999 in the village of Bolivar. And believe it or not, you know why I ran? Because I wanted to know why I was paying a $400 income tax, because I grew up in the township. So my servitude, I've been doing this for 20 years. And actually it started before that. I started fighting Club 3000 with Bill and Kay Huth. We were with Linda and Dick Harvey, Tom and Sue Odell, Fred Charton. Kind of got started, kind of got recruited by Gary Franks, fighting the injustices up at Countywide Landfill, which you guys will have to look on the World Wide Web and kind of follow up what's going on 2.5 miles north of Bolivar, because there was a civil litigation and that case is closed. But I'd say serving this community since 1998 has been the second greatest pleasure of my life, because we've done a lot of good things, and that includes being on council, and that takes a teamwork. Think six council members, a mayor, a village administrator, your income tax treasurer. So imagine your spouse, imagine being a Mormon and having 7 wives you got to balance all the time, and as a trustee, our fiscal officer, as a board, it just takes a lot of work, but a lot of good things have happened in this community since 1998, and that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm running to stay your township trustee.
Thank you, Matt. Paul?
Thanks everybody for coming tonight. My name's Paul Noel. I'm 39 years old. I'm a 2002 Tusky Valley graduate. My wife, Lisa, out in the audience. We have 2 daughters, Eva and Gracie. They both attend Tusky Valley. I'm a local real estate agent, investor. I work for Barnett Realtors. And I'm actually putting an office in downtown Bolivar, grand opening next Wednesday. If you guys are free, stop by and check it out. That's me.
Thanks, Paul. All right, and now I'm going to ask every candidate here the same question. We're going to start with this one, Roxanne. What does it mean to you to serve as a Lawrence Township trustee, and what is your motivation for running?
All right. Well, since my intro did get a little interrupted and kind of got a little flustered there, I'll probably throw in just a little bit here and there so you can learn more about me. But I moved here in 2006. I always say that I had the privilege of marrying into Bolivar. I'm originally from upstate New York in a little county very similar to ours. When I moved here, I didn't know anyone, only my husband's immediate family, which is here in Bolivar, and it was very difficult to adjust to a new location and new life. However, I'm very thankful for a lot of the resources that we had here, and with 2 small children, I used them, and my favorite being the library by far. As time passed, I grew to love the people and our county, and I've been privileged to know many of you through my local businesses, and you're amazing customers, and I appreciate you all. My children had the opportunity to be a part of a lot of the associations we have here. My son and husband were very active in TC United. I'm very grateful that we've been able to sponsor them as well through Ohio Armament. My son was very big into baseball, so I'm very appreciative of the Bolivar softball and baseball organization that we have here as well. And my children were blessed to be a part of Tusky Valley's sports teams, dances, and trips, all while being homeschooled by me. I homeschooled my children since they were born. You're technically always a homeschooler until they go to school, right? You're always teaching them. And my decision, I would like to say that my decision to homeschool my boys was made long before I moved in to Tusky Valley. It was always a dream of mine. It's always something I wanted to do. So when we moved here in 2006 and they were little, I was able to do that. And had I not had the privilege of being able to homeschool them, I would have been proud to have them in Tusky Valley full time. And all this to say that the community has blessed me in very many different ways when I came here. And now that my children are older, my business is manned by capable men and women. I have time to give back to the community with the skills and gifts and talents that I have learned over the past 47 years. I can be an asset to the board in a number of different areas in serving. My motivation is also to ensure that everybody knows that they are valuable to this community, whether they've been here for 2 months, 2 years, or 20 years. You do not have to be born and raised here or be in a long-standing family to be valued in this community. And I want to be an example that new people that come into the community can serve and be effective leadership and be a benefit to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Pat, what does it mean to you to serve as a Lawrence Township trustee, and what is your motivation for running?
Well, I have been in public service my entire adult life. I graduated in 2002 and for Tusky Valley, and immediately went to fire school, volunteer fireman. I started out as a local volunteer fireman, and I've currently, for the last 20 years, I am worked hard and educated myself and ended up working where I am at now for the city of Massillon in the positions that I hold. While doing all that, raising a family, and I also spend a lot of my time, you can ask my wife, volunteering with several nonprofits local to the area. The first being locally, I live in the Village of Zor. I'm a board member of the Zor Community Association. I am the board president for the Bolivar Fire Department. A lot of people don't know we are a private nonprofit fire department, and I run the board. I've been with the fire department for 12 years, 13 years, and been the president for 10 of those. I also serve as the board president of TC United Soccer Association. We have several hundred kids, anywhere between 100 and 200 kids from the local community that come through our organization, and we teach them how to play soccer and give them a place to, learn the game and learn and grow to grow into nice young adults. In those roles, I've learned along the way that a strong leadership team can accomplish a lot of great things. And having the privilege to serve as a township trustee will be the culmination of those life experiences in running and being a part of those organizations. And I would be honored for the opportunity to show the residents of the township that I'm the right candidate for the position. I want to be able to say someday that I left it better than I found it. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Dante, what does it mean to you to serve as Lawrence Township Trustee, and what is your motivation for running?
Serving on the Board of Trustees for Lawrence Township would be an honor and a privilege. I've always helped people. I'm in the business of helping people as an IT guy. We solve problems every day for multiple companies, whether it's a simple annoyance or a major upgrade or infrastructure project. Our team recognizes the problems, finds a solution, and executes it quickly and efficiently day after day. Sometimes my wife has to remind me, Dante, I don't need you to fix the problem, just listen. When I received the questionnaire from the League of Women's Voters asking 3 questions for their Tuscarawas County Voters Guide, I felt honored and privileged. They sent it to every candidate on the ballot in Tuscarawas County, including me. I spent hours completing their questionnaire, and I returned it on time. I mean, this is the League of Women Voters. That's an important demographic to me, and I wanted to make sure they knew how I felt about things. I have copies of that here with the first page and the page with the Lawrence Township Trustees on it. If anybody wants to get it after this, you're welcome to read that if you haven't already. But along with helping people solve problems, I want to improve the lives of the people around me. When I look at our community, I see many great resources and many reasons people want to live here. We have Route 77 to connect us to larger communities, the Tuscarawas River for canoeing and kayaking, and we have the Ohio Erie Canalway Trail System for biking and hiking. We have to take care of these vital resources and add to them. I envision the River Community Park with more than just a walking path and basketball courts. Instead of paying nearly $30,000 for a new surface on the basketball courts, I'd like to see money go towards LED lights around the park for safety, a playground for our children, and even a dog park fenced in the center. In Bolivar Village, I want to convert the abandoned tennis courts into pickleball courts for all of us to enjoy. I'm running for trustee so I can work to find grants and other funding to bring the residents the parks and green spaces they deserve. Serving as trustee means taking care of the residents in the township. In the winter, I'm part of the unofficial Bolivar ATV Snowplow Club. Ever heard of us? Probably not. A couple of guys and I would ride our quads around helping the elderly people in the community, removing snow from their driveways and sidewalks, and we even plowed the walking trail at Community Park a couple of times for the hardcore runners. We never asked for money, never accepted money, but we often got cookies and snacks and sometimes warm drinks. But let me tell you about one winter storm was so bad, the school next to my house couldn't dig themselves out. I moved my work schedule around, took the day off, and I picked up my ATV and began pushing snow with Mr. Deshawn and Mr. Gump. The snow was too heavy, even for the ATV and their little riding mower. So I went home and I got my big farm tractor with the scoop. I drove it to the school, and together the staff, school staff, and a couple others pitched in, and we cleaned the school. We cleaned up everything for the next day. However, while I was moving the snow, I noticed one guy working hard with a shovel the whole time that I was driving this big old tractor. When I took a break, I saw it. It was our superintendent at the time, Mr. Murphy. Yeah. I said, "You're the superintendent. You should be at home where it's warm. You know, what are you doing here?" And I'll never forget his response. He said, "Dante, I'll do what is needed when it's needed. And this is what we need help with most right now, and that's why I'm here." Folks, this is what Lawrence Township needs right now, and that's why I'm here. So let's hear it for change.
Thank you, Dante. Matt, what does it mean to you to serve as Lawrence Township Trustee, and what is your motivation for running for re-election?
Well, I summed it up earlier. Service, I mean, probably the most selfless thing we can ever do is have children, right? And give ourselves to others. And being a township trustee, the motivation is, for me, is managing everyone's tax dollars like it's your own checkbook. If you think about it, Roxanne mentioned the Bolivar Library. A lot of people don't realize on your property tax bill, you have 2 levies that are going to the library that are funded. So we have to be responsible as the electors to manage your dollars like it's our own dollars. So the goal is to provide as many services as humanly possible with the least amount of tax dollars. Patrick mentioned the fire department. I know a lot of people at the fire department aren't big fans of mine because 3 years ago, when the township board voted 2-1 to put the new 3 mil levy on the ballot, I voted against it. It generates an extra $496,000 a year from the property tax owners. But when I was on Bolivar Council in 2002, I supported the first levy, the 4 mil levy, which generated about $600,000 because I do think it's wrong. You can't expect people to volunteer that much time. At that time, all the medics, all the firemen, they were having bingo every Wednesday night. Gary Sears is here, several guys. I mean, they lived up there, their families, their kids, and that's a false expectation to have to depend that much on people to put 30, 40 hours a week in for free. But right now, if you think about, people wanted to know why their taxes went up 3 years ago. It's not just because you get reassessed by the county auditor every 2 years. You're paying 7 mil to the Bolivar Fire Department, but it does come through Lawrence Township, and then we contract with them. It's the same thing with every other tax levy. Everyone in the township pays $93,000 collectively for us to contract with the Tuscarawas County Sheriff's Office. So my motivation, and it's been my motto, I'm gonna sum it up, it's fiscal stewardship with progressive leadership. So every grant that I've gone after since I've been a trustee is providing more services without asking the people of the community to pay more in taxes. So the basketball court, $324,000 came from a grant, community benefit fund, the CBA sign, John Elsasser is here. The township directed $120,000 to the Zor Community Association to pay for the 20% grant that the brick sidewalks were. The late Mayor Bell and John Elsasser were critical in getting the original ODOT LTAP grant about 10, 12 years ago for that brick sidewalk, whether it's the collaboration with Fort Lawrence. As John knows, he serves on the Ohio History, used to be Ohio Historical Society Board, it's now called the Ohio History Connection. You got a collaborative of 4 organizations that use Fort Lawrence right now. Originally, Ohio History used to maintain it. When we were all kids growing up here, there was a chain link fence and you couldn't use that. So my motto and motivation is do as much as humanly possible without asking you guys to dig into your pocketbook, which is why Mark Murphy in the school did not ask you guys to help pay for the auditorium. It's why he went to Mr. Sears. It's why he went to the Kimball Foundation, because he knew the people in the community weren't gonna willy-nilly agree to pay an extra $4 or $5 million to build a new auditorium, because he's focusing on the renewal levies. The only, I think, maybe a replacement levy that people voted in, which was a regular levy, it generates an extra $26,000, was the last levy I endorsed. We've asked the people of the community to pay for more police protection. Our 1.5 mil levy only collects at a 0.5 mil rate right now. We asked the people, the board of Lawrence Township Trustees asked the people 4 years ago to put a 2.0 mil. They got voted down. That's my motivation. Provide as many services as humanly possible with 2 full-time employees. So for those of you in the audience don't know, Lawrence Township, Chuck McNutt, who's retiring in March, he's our road superintendent. Perry Myers, we just hired, our board just hired. He's the assistant road superintendent. We attracted him away from ODOT. We have Todd Reynolds. We hired another superintendent. We have 3 full-time employees right now, but we've only had 2. I will say when we actually took office, we had 3, 1 quit, and our board chose to do more with less. And they take care of the township cemetery. Roxanne didn't even know who took care of the township cemetery up until about a month ago. So if you think about every single burial that is done at the township cemetery is done in 40 miles of roads and the parks and green space that we've taken on without asking for tax money. That's why Tusk Parks don't have money. Stark Parks has a 0.5% sales tax. So everyone that says they're gonna promise you something, you better have a grant, and you gotta have local money to get grants, right? So that's my motivation. My motivation is to do as much as humanly possible for you guys without adding more tax dollars.
Thank you, Matt. And for future reference, guys, so it is a 4-minute limit. You went over just a little bit there, Matt, just a little bit. And I'm not going to try to interrupt if I think you're approaching the end, but if you are, I'll clear my throat. I'll try to make sounds. That was fine, Matt. You just a little bit over. Paul, what does it mean to you to serve as Lawrence Township Trustee, and what is your motivation for running?
So I want to work with and represent all the township residents for the benefit of our community. Being a trustee gives me a way to give back to my community and maintaining the great community that we live in. My motivation for wanting to become a trustee stems from a couple sources. I've had a lot of local residents in the community just call me, stop by, said, hey, I think you'd make a great trustee, and we'd appreciate if you run. And as if I don't have enough stuff on my plate, I've decided to run for trustee. I think I'd make a great trustee. Another driving factor is that the 3 current trustees have been in office for over 10 years, and I would like to see someone new come in with some new ideas, a different outlook on the township, and someone motivated to make some changes.
Thank you, Paul. And for the record, I had money on Dante going over first. All right, on to question 2. Roxanne, what can you bring to Lawrence Township that the other candidates cannot? What experience do you have personally and professionally that will make you the best candidate?
Well, I joined the Navy at 17, right out of high school. I became an intelligence specialist, and I was stationed at the Atlantic Intelligence Command in Norfolk, Virginia, where I earned Sailor of the Year and 2 Joint Service Achievement Medals. I was responsible for compiling, evaluating, disseminating vital information to the command, and that's where all my writing skills first developed, which I believe will be effective for the township. I was also responsible for maintaining the global command and control system, which I continued to do when I got out of the Navy, working for the Navy and the Air Force as a systems analyst. I was a government contractor, and I led teams that ensured uninterrupted access to critical systems. I believe the lessons I learned during this time will help me to be an effective trustee. When 9/11 happened, I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, and I was responsible, I was one of the system experts at the Air Operations Center in Langley Air Force Base. The stress during 9/11 was unbelievable. I learned how to work under a lot of stress during that time, and worked with teams to get the job done. During my time working for the military, I also received my associate's degree in computer science and my bachelor's degree in organizational leadership and management. One of the hardest organizations to run is the home. Everything I learned in the Navy, being a systems analyst for the military, and in all of my degrees, helped me successfully run my home and raise my children. And I am sure that this knowledge will help me as a trustee. 21 years ago, I took $2,500 and I started a home-based business with my husband. He was also in the Navy. He was also a systems analyst for the Air Force and Navy. We actually just worked right next to each other and would go to new jobs with each other, and we did the same things, and so we were able to take those skills and use them in a small business capacity. I have owned and operated 4 businesses, one of which I sold last year. I am the chief financial officer for all of them. And being self-employed has taught me a lot of lessons. It has taught me about budgeting, has taught me about financial statements, accounting, and being an employer and leading and making wise decisions. Since I work in the firearms industry, I get audited by the ATF a lot. And I am glad to say that I have passed every single inspection with a 99.99% success rate. I understand the importance of attention to detail and fiscal responsibility. In fact, I'm always learning more in this area, and I'm currently earning my certificate in financial planning, which I think will help me further as a trustee. Due to my family life and business life, I have not been able to be on many boards in the past. I was on the Tuscarawas County Little Theater Board, which I can tell you has a lot more drama than the Lawrence Township Board. But now that my kids are older, I'd like to take the skills that I learned in the Navy and as working for the government and apply them and be a benefit and a blessing to my community. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Pat, what can you bring to Lawrence Township that the other candidates cannot? What experience do you have personally and professionally that will make you the best candidate?
As I've said before, I've been in public service my entire adult life. As a fire medic, you learn real quickly how to deal with high-stress situations, how to manage and lead people. And now in my current position as a fire inspector and fire investigator, those skills are useful as the township grows. I deal with the Ohio Fire Code every day, so I deal with growth and inspecting businesses, and I believe that that is a skill that a good trustee could have as an extra, not necessary, but it's not a bad skill to have or knowledge. I also, you know, to Matt's point, having been the president of the fire department for a long time, I've had to learn to be frugal and deal with and manage the taxpayer dollars. In a lot of cases during that time, some tough decisions had to be made as far as operations, managing employees, and along with the fire chief, I had to be the one to make those decisions. You know, in that case, everybody wants to be in charge. You know, they want to say they want to lead and they want to be in charge. And a lot of times until it's, you have to make those tough decisions. I'm capable of making those tough decisions, and I've done it in the past. And I'm willing to make those decisions and stick with them if necessary. So, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Pat. Dante, what can you bring to Lawrence Township that the other candidates cannot? What experience do you have personally and professionally that will make you the best candidate?
I'm going to read again. As you know, I created that well-known Facebook group, The Best of Bolivar, and started inviting people around us to join the group. Today, The Best of Bolivar, T-Bob, as it's sometimes referred to, has more than 4,600 members and has been responsible for finding countless lost dogs, cats, and even a lost tortoise. Our group helps people locate reputable local service companies and dining options. T-Bob regulars know about the barefoot guy on 212 or the abandoned boat on 77, garage sale days, restaurant specials, local crime reports and warnings, open units at the Strasburg Bolivar storage unit, and news about the new putt-putt golf course that they just built. Along with all those useful benefits of my community Facebook page, the residents of Lawrence Township use the forum to communicate with the Board of Trustees and our friendly but stern zoning inspector, Ron Weekly. Where are you, Ron? He's not here. Okay. But he answers a lot of zoning questions for the residents right there on The Best of Bolivar. And many of you are here today because this event was announced on The Best of Bolivar. It has been a very useful tool for our community and has helped so many residents of Lawrence Township and the surrounding areas, including fundraising efforts for our schools as people use it to create a buzz around their fundraisers and get people going. I set it up back then, and I managed a group daily, providing content and drone pictures of special events like the Sparks of Giving, strawberry festivals, and local business parties. Sometimes we have to delete or turn off the comments on posts about the booms or the coyotes if they get out of hand, if you know what I mean. As a business owner since 2007, I met and worked with many other business owners and CEOs. I'm a member of the North Canton Chamber of Commerce, and I visit their meetings regularly. I talk with business owners to learn new ways to approach old problems. And I know an expert in most every industry, whether it's a lawyer, an accountant, school administrators, public officials. And this summer, my team and I worked with the leaders of Jackson Township, including Township Administrator Michael Vaccaro and 2 of the 3 trustees. As an IT expert, I've been assisting Ms. Ackerman, Martina, and Ron at the Lawrence Township offices. PC Copilot hosts their websites and assists with the email. If I'm elected to the Board of Trustees in Lawrence Township, I'll donate the web hosting to Lawrence Township, as well as my computer services. I'll help them upgrade the routers and network infrastructure of Lawrence Township offices, donating my time and knowledge, saving thousands of dollars over the course of my term. Having an IT expert on any board is a good investment, because wouldn't you feel better knowing your township records are safe from cyber attacks and ransomware? Some other improvements I think about are public Wi-Fi and solar charging stations at the walking path. I would want to create a Lawrence Township page to help keep residents informed. Not a public discussion forum like T-Bob, but rather an information site posting about projects and improvements, grants and funding efforts, and community event announcements to help promote the communities and encourage people to live and invest here in Lawrence Township. My developers for PC Copilot can look at the processes in place at the township management and work to save money through improved efficiency using custom web applications and databases. I know this job is more than just 2 meetings a month. So if elected to be your next township trustee, I will offer office hours at different local restaurants each quarter for residents to buy me a cup of coffee and talk about anything they want. Vote for me for Lawrence Township Trustee for real change. Thank you.
Thank you, Dante. Matt, what can you bring to Lawrence Township that the other candidates cannot? What experience do you have personally and professionally that will make you the best candidate?
Well, this one I struggled with. All my supporters in my camp told me I have to boast about the things I've worked on. But I first want to give credit to some people at the township that I didn't last time. We have a new admin assistant, Martina Mann, who works 15 hours a week, 3 5-hour days. She took the place of Ann Ackerman, who our board appointed to the fiscal officer position. John McClellan did a great job for the township, helping to manage our checks for about 20 years. He retired about 1.5 years ago. And then Ron Weekly is our part-time zoning inspector, because unfortunately, that zoning issue that we all talk about, some people love it, some people dislike it. I think in our community we do find a good balance. But when you talk about experience, I would, I guess, start off with saying my 4 years on town council was more of a acclimation process from 2000 to 2004. Most of my time I was going to Joint Solid Waste Management District meetings. For those of you that don't know where that is, it's right down the road here on the boulevard. And the board is run by 9 county commissioners, 3 Tusk, 3 Stark, and 3 Wayne. And that was the board that was overseeing a lot of the things that are going on up at countywide landfill. And actually it was while there that I discovered that there's tipping fees on every ton of trash that goes to the landfills, whether it be countywide, Kimball, or American landfill over in Waynesburg. So that's where we got the grant money. And I've actually probably, with the support of my board peers, have written over $125,000 in capital infrastructure grants. In my first year in office, we implemented the Lawrence Township compost drop-off site. Because when I was a kid, everyone would burn their leaves on Northwood. They would just find private landowners and dump it off and drop it, or they would put it in their trash can and end up in the landfill. We get an annual $12,000 grant, renewable grant from the Waste District, and that pays for 80 to 120 hoppers that are delivered to Bull Country Compost. The first 6 years that was in operation, it used to go to Earth and Wood, but Earth and Wood sold out and they have enough product where they don't need to do that anymore. So I think everyone in this community knows that that's a pretty instrumental program that the township has and appreciates. When I was on town council, I actually spearheaded the purchase of the leaf vac that is still in operation. That was bought in 2002. It could be the walking trail grant. It could be the retention pond. Gary Sears came to us about 8, 9 years ago. We collected about $425,000 in grant money. Mr. Sears kicked in some money himself. And then Neil Oder, Harris Battery, and the commercial hunting place. We had to come up with $55,000 of local in-kind money, plus the township kicked in $18,000 to build a retention basin, because you don't think of everything when you do it. So the industrial park, Mike Hotter's grandpa had a vision to build the industrial park, but at the time, Tuscarawas County Regional Planning and our own zoning didn't think about mandating that you put in stormwater retention ponds. Because you think about growth, you just don't think of everything. So it's acclimating all those processes, facilitating, working through all those loose ends with, whether it be Bolivar Council, Zor Council, whether it be the ZCA, Tusky Valley Youth Athletic Foundation. Our township built the first TC United soccer field that's in the industrial park with permission from Neil Oder, Les Mitzen, gives us a lease for $1 a year, and that's where we built the first soccer fields. That kind of the list goes on, but it's facilitating solutions to problems that people identify in the community. And we meet twice a month, Dante, so you don't have to go to Facebook. You guys can just come on out to the township building, second and fourth Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. and air your grievances, because we do listen. Believe it or not, we do listen.
Hey, Ritterbeck, second and last. Second and last.
Second and fourth. Last.
Second and last.
Yeah, but the way it says on the township, it says second and fourth.
All right, we got that ironed out. Thank you, Matt. Paul, what can you bring to Lawrence Township that the other candidates cannot? What experience do you have personally and professionally that will make you the best candidate?
I have expertise and knowledge in construction and real estate that I believe go hand in hand with overseeing a township. I was before real estate, I was a superintendent for beaver excavating for 8 years. So during those 8 years, I worked on building and maintaining roads, bridges, a lot of stuff that the township employees do every day. I also have a Class B CDL that I would be willing to utilize if needed, plowing in the wintertime when the township employees need a break or have a hard time keeping up with storms and can use an extra hand. I also have knowledge in commercial real estate development, rentals, and Airbnbs. And I also I hold my property and casualty insurance license, so I have knowledge in insurance also. That's it.
Thank you, Paul. All right, moving on to question 3. Roxanne, what do you believe to be the number one issue that needs to be addressed in the township, and what is your solution?
Well, I believe the number one issue is the accumulated concern of the residents. Their concerns seem to be numerous and revolve around many different topics. I am hearing concerns of fiscal responsibility with the current board, which I hope to use my skills to be sure that funds are being used wisely. I am hearing concern about streets that are ignored and look like jigsaw puzzles. I hope to understand that so I can let people know where they stand. I'm hearing concerns about the fire department, its district status, and funding problems. I'm hearing concerns about trust and confidence in the current board. I'm hearing concerns about the board having the same people over and over again, and that change is necessary. I am hearing concerns that board members are active only for the compensation and the health insurance. So my concern is the concern of the residents. The best way I know to help is to be active. So that will involve learning and listening and taking a lot of effort, which I'm willing to put in. And bottom line, I'm really hoping to be the change that the everybody and the residents seem to want to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Roxanne. Pat, what do you believe the number one issue is, and what is your solution?
I'm going to go a different direction with that question. As a regular attendee of trustee meetings, I attend as many as I can, and I have for several years. I don't believe the township has, not to pick your question apart, but issues. We have a nice, clean community to live and raise our kids in. We have great schools. The roads are well maintained and taken care of. We have lots of access to good outdoor recreational areas. Those soccer fields are now at the Bolivar Dam. And there's a lot of places for future growth in the township. What I think we need to focus on going along that roadmap, like I said, there's a lot of growth will happen eventually. We have a lot of areas to grow. We're right on 77. It will happen, and we need to be ready for that. So I think we need to have a better roadmap going ahead in the future. A short-term plan, 1 year, maybe a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan for what we're going to do with that growth, kind of how we want to focus it, and how we're going to pay for it, because as Matt said earlier, nobody wants to pay any additional taxes, so we need to do that as frugally as possible. Like I said, I want to make sure that the township is prepared for large capital expenses, ambulances, fire trucks, plow trucks, water retention. That's always been an issue in the township, if I had to pick an issue. And it's been, as we build, it's going to rear its ugly head again. So we need to make sure that we're ready to control that. And that's it.
Thanks, Pat. Dante, what do you believe to be the number one issue that needs to be addressed in the township, and what is your solution?
Growth challenges, turning lanes, LED lights at the park and street intersections, playground equipment, dog park, canoe and kayak launching dock like Sippo Lake has, and trash cans. I listed several items, but they're all focused on one big issue: quality of life for our Lawrence Township residents. Where's the money going in Lawrence Township, and how is it benefiting our constituents? We have a beautiful basketball court with a $30,000 floor, but we don't have a playground. I want to work to find grants and funding for a premium playground for our children to play safely. I want to build a fence inside the walking path for our own dog park with 2 sections, one for big dogs, one for small dogs. If there's a protected wetland or marsh in the way, we'll work around it. I'll work to get those hurdles, to get through those hurdles, to bring you that dog park. And if not there, I've talked to other people that have other ideas for other great locations. LED lights. After the time change tomorrow, it's going to be pitch black around here when you get home from work at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Our trustees developed a great improvement at the hotel with the new Lawrence Township sign. Now the lighting project has been approved, so the natural next step would be to shed some of that light onto the park across the road and the dangerous intersection at the Sleep Inn. If we can acquire the old Masons building from the disbanded club, we would have a great resource for electricity to power as many lights as we can afford at that park and that dark intersection. And we'd also acquire a nice parking lot and some more land to build that new playground. Trash cans. Purchase some park-style trash cans that are not easily vandalized or removed. Plan a weekly visit from Kimball and consolidate all trash to one dumpster each week. Done. No more unsightly trash all over the trail and by our nice river. As our area grows with the addition of the Mazzarelli Baseball Complex, I want to encourage businesses like Big B Coffee or Ace Hardware to invest in the open fields that we have along 212, rather than another dollar store or payday loan centers. They can stay in Canton. I could even see something like a Top Golf or a new hotel near that Mazzarelli complex, because we need it. As trustees, we need to listen to our residents to learn what you want and help bring that to Lawrence Township to complement all the great places we have now. How do you pay for these improvements? We need to explore funding like public grants, of course, crowdsourcing, business sponsorships and donations, fundraisers and public involvement. We could use the best of Bolivar to gather helpers. Funding doesn't have to come from one source. We just need to find creative ways to make it work for the quality of life for our residents. How do you care for a dog park, a playground, and such? Well, I would work to develop a dog park board, a trail team, and a maintenance crew based on volunteers in the community that use the facilities or could offer a service or skill that would benefit the parks. With a little assistance from the township and some systems in place, many of these features can be self-managed and maintained, and Lawrence Township can continue to mow and oversee the facility. This is how I would work to solve problems for you. This is why I want to be your trustee. Stronger communities, thriving businesses, sensible infrastructure. Dante Mariani, let's grow together.
Thank you, Dante. Matt, what do you believe to be the number one issue that needs to be addressed in the township, and what is your solution?
Wow. We having fun yet, fellas? I'm having a blast. More services, less taxes, right? That's what we got to do. All right, issue. It's impossible to pick just one. Fundamentals. There's 2 full-time employees. Roadways, 40 miles of roads. I ask all of you, travel your 40 miles of township roads and let me know, really. You do a great job, but you can thank yourselves too, because Lawrence Township, on top of the 2 mil that the Ohio Revised Code mandates, that's a permanent levy. You, the residents, the constituents of Lawrence Township, pay an additional 2.2 mil on top of that. So you're paying for your roads to be maintained the way they are. Zoning, everyone wants zoning. No one wants to pay someone full-time to do it. Again, Ron Weekly does a great job. He works 8 to 10 hours a week. Future development of property needs to be solved, controlled growth. The MASH factory. Scott Robinson, Tuscarawas County Chamber of Commerce, reached out to me personally 3 years ago, introduced me to Dave Schaub, Jeff Bunner, and John Mazzarelli. Said, hey, these guys are looking at 5 properties, Summit, Stark, Tusk County. They want to build the MASH factory. They love the property. Dr. David Krisman, they don't want to pay $34,000 an acre. They ended up agreeing to pay $28,500 for it. It took 6 months. They came to us, our board, Don, Mike, myself. We kicked it to the zoning commission. We didn't do a variance. We had the Open Meetings Act. We had public meetings and asked if the community would endorse it. No one came opposing it. 21 acres of agricultural property that's rezoned commercial, and we give them a 75% TIF tax abatement to pay for the water, sewer, and natural gas. The gas was run down here from the doctor's office. Water and sewer came back from behind the golf course. Trust me, it costs a lot of money. You ask those guys, look what it's done for the community. I do think future growth, controlled growth, some people have asked us, oh, just rezone this, rezone that. I've talked to my parents forever. A lot of elderly people have left our community because they want to stay in like a Lockport station. I think we could use an area like what is down in Strasburg that's maybe more dedicated to, you know, 1-floor living, elderly, senior housing, in a controlled area with the right architecture, the right landscaping. It's the same thing with Krisman's property out here off 212. No one wants to see a bunch of Dollar Generals, but you can't just zone out those types of things. So we do need to work with our zoning commission. Right now they're working on redoing the monumental signs. But controlled growth is probably the #1 issue, but I think for the most part, people pay high taxes and people move here because they like it here, whether they've been here, you know, 2 months or whether they've been here forever. It's Mayberry, right? Everyone wants to live in Mayberry, but they don't want to pay a bunch of taxes. So I think it's just balancing that.
Thank you, Matt. Paul, what do you believe to be the #1 issue that needs to be addressed in the township, and what is your solution?
Mine again, it's growth also. The issue that I see that I think needs to be addressed though is the lack of land for the expansion of industrial property. I mean, as everybody can see, I mean, we're out of property over in the industrial park. And I guess my reason behind it is wanting to find more land to bring in new business, new jobs, which ultimately creates more tax revenue for Lawrence Township. My solution is to talk to some local landowners and the zoning board to try to find some land that we can get zoned industrial that makes sense. to bring in new business to Bolivar.
Thank you. All right, and now I'm going to ask each candidate a question that's individual, and they all know about these questions. I'm going to start with Roxanne. Roxanne, your husband has pled not guilty to charges by the state of Ohio concerning a purchase from the Bolivar Police Department. Since you and your husband own your business together, people are concerned you or your business are in legal trouble and that it may impact your service as a township trustee if elected. Would you like to respond?
I would, thank you.
I figured.
But the key words in your question were your husband, who is not running for trustee. Therefore, the first thing I want to say is that I have absolutely no legal problems. I am not under any indictment, nor are any of my companies under any legal problems. So again, just want to make sure that's clear. So there is no interruption to me running as township trustee. But what I was hoping, the one question that you would ask me that would be different from everybody else was, Roxanne, if you are elected to township trustee, you would be the first female in history to be on the board. How would that make you feel? And if you had asked me that, I would say amazing. That would be an absolute blessing, and it would be something to treasure, and I would do my utmost to leave a positive legacy for the future. But that's not what you asked me, so let's go back. You asked me about my husband. My husband, who is not running for trustee, but he has done more for the law enforcement and community than anyone I know. His heart has always been for the police and first responders, and I am confident that together we will continue that well into the future to be a blessing to local agencies as we have been, churches, hospitals, and schools, providing quality gear, free training, guidance, assistance well into the future. We have helped over 25 local organizations in the last 3 years alone. And then over the past 17 years here in Ohio, my husband and I have been able to give back to our community in ways that we would not have been able to do had we not had our businesses, or if we would have stayed working for the government, which I would have been retired by now at 47, which is funny to think about. But we believe everything we have is a gift from God. We believe that we are stewards of everything we receive. And my husband and I have a personal goal, a financial goal every year, to give more to charity than we do in what we owe in taxes to the IRS. It is a difficult goal, but I'm proud to say that we've been successful for that in the last 10 years now. And 90%, over 90% of all of the charity that we have donated has stayed right here in T County. And I do not say this to boast, but to say that if you want to know someone's heart, ask to see their checkbook. For where your treasure is, there your heart is also. And our heart has been here in T County. It will remain here, and we will continue to be a blessing for as long as we are welcome to do so. Thank you.
Pat, you run a landscaping business, you're a firefighter, police officer, a father, an apiarist, you serve on the Bolivar Fire Department Council, and you are renovating a historic home. People are concerned you will be too busy to commit yourself to the trustee position and do what is best for township residents. Would you like to respond?
Yeah. I'd like to start by saying that I think all of those things you said, as well as some that you forgot, are all things and all the reasons why I would make a good township trustee. I spend a lot of my time donating and giving back, mostly in time, to my community. Currently, I sit as the board president at TC United, but my daughter, she's turning 13. Well, she is 13. She'll be an 8th grader next year, and organically, she will be out of the program. And if elected, I will probably actually leave that organization a little earlier. Hopefully, somebody that's looking to provide some community service that has young children in the program would be willing to take over, Dante. As far as the fire department goes, I am the board president there. With that comes a lot of responsibility, managing and taking care of the taxpayer dollars. Being a nonprofit, our bylaws, state that if I'm elected township trustee, I will not be able to continue that. So that'll clean, that'll free up some time, which is, not to fret. We have a lot of people in the organization that are willing and capable of taking over, and when I'm the trustee, we can, I'll still be there to help and support those individuals. My business, it's grown to the point, it's rather small, but it's grown to the point now where I've helped. I don't do a lot of the work anymore myself. So that's handled. So, and then my normal, 7 to 3 job, is what it is. But I argue that, again, all of those things that you listed will make me a good township trustee, and but they will not interfere.
Thank you. Dante, you previously served on the Village of Bolivar Council, but resigned before your term was up. People are concerned that if elected as township trustee and things don't go as intended, that you will resign before your term is up. How would you like to respond?
Yes, I'd like to respond to that. When I was appointed to Bolivar Village Council, I was new to the community. We'd lived here a little over 2 years, recently married, we had a growing business, an old Victorian house to renovate, and we were working on starting a family. I saw an open position on the village council, and I thought it'd be a great opportunity to give back to the community with my IT expertise and knowledge. I already had helped people like Dave Franks and Chief Randy Hogg asking me questions about their computers and their email all the time. So I thought I'd interview for the position and give it my best shot. In the 3 years I was on council, I helped create the rules for the playground and the park behind my house. I helped upgrade the routers and the computer infrastructure and worked to improve the internet connection to Village Hall, the police station, and the water building, among many other ideas and legislation. After a while, I found my business growing at an unprecedented rate, requiring day and night management. At the same time, Bree and I were trying to start a family. She had to have surgery more than once due to fertility issues. But eventually God blessed us with our beautiful son, Mickey. Life was great, but the stress was high. In council, things were moving fast, and I found myself doing a lot of reading and research to make educated decisions. I spent countless hours talking to my neighbors in the community to get their opinions on issues like Gary Frank's job description and whether or not to sell the former Burfield farm, which we all grew up with, to be turned into a gravel pit. But between our business, my wife's health, and trying to prepare our home for our future family we were hoping for, I made the decision to let go of my position on Village Council to focus fully on family and business. Today, both are going strong, so I'm able to give back to the community again, this time on a larger scale. I'm older, wiser, and more experienced. My schedule allows the flexibility to work for the community during business hours as well as work for my business. I'm ready for the change we need in Lawrence Township, and I'm ready to serve our residents. Elect Dante for trustee, and let's grow together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dante. Matt, you have pled not guilty to felony charges of sexual assault against a Pennsylvania woman. People are concerned the court case and charges against you may impact your service as a township trustee if reelected. Would you like to respond?
Yeah, sure. As a correction, actually I have not pled guilty. There's been 2 continuances in the case, but I have retained a lawyer, and I obviously cannot speak about it, but we are confident that the case will get thrown out. It was tough. It's been a tough time for my parents and I, my kids. I guess I'd just like to ask everybody, if you had a son and they were accused of doing something that they didn't do, and you know they didn't do, how would you feel? I had a tough conversation with my daughter about it. If you had a daughter, obviously you would want them to have the ability to speak up and stand up for themselves. But I'm not going to go into particulars about the case. Would you honestly think I'd put myself through this forum if I knew that, you know, I was going to be found not guilty, or the case wasn't going to get thrown out? But I'm just going to go back and say that, guys, I've been working for you since 1998, doing everything in my power. If I wasn't, I coached my oldest son in baseball for 10 years, Bolivar Baseball Softball Association. That's why the township employees painted the shed that's stored for free on our property. It's why we take care of 3 of the Tusky Valley baseball softball fields that are in the community. They're at behind CMA Fields. We've maintained those, and also Jack Sunheimer Field. They're at Premier Enterprises. Heck, at TC United, I coached both my daughter and my son for 10 to 15 years. I coached basketball, TVYF, all 3 of my daughter and my 2 boys when they played basketball. 17 years of coaching all these sports, all these kids. They all know what my character is. They all know that it's about facilitating and helping progress and change. I mean, Lawrence Township is ones who encourage Zoar Council and the Zoar Mayor to tie in their siren with the 911 dispatch center for emergency warnings, and the township gave $1,200. The same thing was just done with the village of Bolivar. Guys, we're collaborating and working together. Do we always get along? No. For example, the Bolivar Police in Lawrence Township, we tried to join forces 2 years after my election, and we took the $93,000 from Lawrence Township and the roughly $140 from the village of Bolivar. We joined for 28 days, and then it didn't work. Why? Because you got 6 council members, a mayor, and you got 3 trustees, and you got a sheriff. So you got about 12 people. You got too many cooks in the kitchen. You got 12 people trying to tell 3 deputies what to do and where to be, and Johnny wants speeding enforced over here, while meanwhile somebody wants the school zone patrolled over here. Leadership is tough. It's tough. You just have to, you know, it's not for everybody. I hope you guys endorse me. I love doing it, but if not, as Patrick mentioned earlier, I know I left it better than how I found it.
Thank you, Matt. Paul, yours was the toughest. I know Paul the least, and I know Mike knows Paul the least. If your wife owned an all-state insurance agency, I might have a better question, but State Farm's are good. They're a good company. But Paul, a concern brought to the table regarding you has been your inexperience in publicly held positions and public service. Would you like to respond?
Sure. So yes, I do not have any experience in an elected position. And if you'd asked me 15 years ago if I wanted to be in an elected position, I told you absolutely not. But here we are today. I've grown up as a person. And I feel like being a successful trustee goes hand in hand with running a successful business, which I have run 2 successful businesses, both real estate. One is a realtor, one with rentals. I feel like I have what it takes to adapt to change and work side by side with the current trustees. I'm organized, I'm a team player, flexible, and creative. I have our community as my #1 priority, and with that being said, if I get elected, I'm going to donate my first year's salary back to the township.
Thank you, Paul. All right, that wraps up our prepared questions. We're now going to open up the floor for some Q&A. We'll see how this goes. We're going to start with maybe 5 questions, and if anyone wants to ask anything else, we'll go from there. So does anyone have a question they'd like to ask the candidates? Bobby, I saw your hand.
My name's Robert Eddy. Full disclosure, Patrick, my brother. My question is for everybody but Mr. Rennebeck. My question is, prior to being on the ballot, what has been your guys' level of involvement in the township as far as going to meetings, going to zoning meetings, going to zoning board of appeals? That's prior to being running for your position.
Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I went to a township meeting when I guess it had something that interested me. I don't go to every meeting. That's my answer.
Dante, frequency of attending meetings?
Yeah, I went to a couple of the most recent 2 trustee meetings once I turned in all my paperwork and realized that this was a real thing. I figured it's time to start learning more about how the township works. But I was going to all the village council meetings while I was in village council, obviously, and I took a break from that. But yeah, I've been to the last 2 meetings, and I plan to go to the rest this year. And if elected, I'll go to all those too.
Pat?
I actually, I've been a fairly regular attendee of trustee meetings. I don't have a count, a conservative estimate, I don't know, Matt, more than half every year for the last 10 years. A lot of, what's that?
I can attest to that, absolutely.
A lot of those are in my capacity with the fire department, whether we be talking about the contract or, tax money or whatever. But a lot of them were because I'm interested in politics. I'm interested in what's going on in the township. And the only way to really know and the only way to be involved is to go to the meetings. And usually it's myself and one other person, my brother sometimes. But they're not attended well enough. So start coming.
Roxanne?
Yeah, I've been attending since I usually go to at least one a month since the beginning of summer to better understand. I've been very thankful to not have any direct personal issues with anything from a standpoint, and none of my businesses are within Bolivar, although I hope to change that in the future. So I've never had any personal issues, but I've been attending since the beginning of summer.
Any other questions? Yes.
I'm Charlie Ackerman, and this question will be for all of the candidates. If you do not get reelected, what is the most significant contribution you can make to the township?
You mean like for if we don't get elected at all, or?
That's correct.
Going in order?
Whoever wants to start on that.
I'll go.
Okay. You're the only one getting you would be reelected.
He didn't say reelected, but he
He
meant.
said reelected, but you meant elected.
I mean, it's funny, Mike asked, Mike,
Any one of you cannot possibly, there's 4 of you that will not get elected to this position. So if you do not get elected, the question is for all candidates, what is the most significant contribution you can make to the township over the next 4 years?
yeah, as a resident, so for example, Commons Pool, we're gonna clear this up right now. Commons Pool, Lawrence Township Joint Recreation District is not associated with Lawrence Township Board of Trustees. What happened was back in the early 80s, there's some dedicated people, just like you, all of us here, that were passionate about something, and they probably went to the Board of Township Trustees and probably went to the Village of Bolivar and probably went to the Village of Zor, and they're all like, we have way more than we need to already. We can't spend more taxpayers' money. But those dedicated individuals decided to put it on the ballot, get enough signatures to put it on the ballot, and they got the residents of the community to pass a 0.5 mil levy, which isn't a whole lot. But they got a Clean Ohio Energy Grant, $367,000 with land donated by Dr. David Krisman, and they made the Commons Pool a reality. And they have a board that operates strictly volunteer, all volunteer, not compensated. So you could help there. There's a lot of churches. There's already people giving time. All the athletic events. You could still write grants. You don't have to be an elected official. I wrote a brand new electric heater grant. I don't serve on the Commons Pool Board, but I wrote a grant and got $20,000 from Rosenberry and paid for a new pool heater. We steered a brand new filter, the new pavilion that's up at the pool, not on their board. So just whatever it is you're passionate about, and myself included. Honestly, I'll probably spend more time with my grandkids. And if they choose to play sports or whatever activities they do, because I got a lot of satisfaction out of watching my kids grow up. I mean, it's whatever you're passionate about, give to that organization. And I think all of us will probably do that in some shape, way, or form.
Me?
Anyone else have a response?
If I'm not elected, I will most likely continue serving. Obviously, I'll continue to serve with the fire department as a part-time employee, as a fireman, helping out whenever emergencies arise or whatever. And I'll probably, if I'm elected again to be their president, I will continue to do that because it puts me in a position to be able to manage the tax dollars to the way I feel they should be, to the best to my ability. So I will continue in those roles.
Yeah, if I'm not elected, I'm still going to be on the ATV snowplow club. I'm still going to plow driveways. I'm still going to be a den leader for my son and for the other kids his age in our community that come to the school looking for guidance and help. We made toolboxes last week for everybody, and my son and I on Sunday, we had to sit in the garage and cut all these boards to get them cut and measured and ready because we only have 40 minutes in Cub Scouts to put these things together. But we had to facilitate that, so we pre-drilled and we cut the lines and we measured, and we brought it all to the Cub Scouts pack, and the kids they had a great time. They built the boxes and everyone got to go home with their own toolbox. So I'll stay involved with the Cub Scouts because I believe in that. I believe in helping our children mostly. I'll continue to go to trustee meetings and talk to people and learn more about this politics thing that we're faced with right now. And I'll continue to help anyone in the community when they need it, whether it's like my neighbor, TJ Rombeck, when he had COVID and was in the hospital for half a year and almost died. I asked Carrie, what can I do to help your family? Because I'm mortified that your husband is suffering so much. And she and her son were at home by herself for more than 6 months while he was in the hospital. And she said, well, Dante, I could use someone to mow the lawn. You don't think about simple things like that, but all summer, that whole summer, I mowed my yard, and then I drove over to her house with the tractor and I mowed their yard, which that wasn't too hard. They have a small yard. But when the leaves started falling, let me tell you, we had leaves in my yard. There's trees everywhere, so it takes me 2 to 3 weekends just to take care of all that. But I picked up my leaf blower and I put more gas in it, and I went over to their yard too, sometimes working until 9 o'clock at night to pull the leaves over to the side of the road so Carrie can go to the hospital and worry about her husband and not worry about the leaves in the yard. You know what I mean? That's how I'm going to continue to help the community and help my neighbors and my friends. And that's what I'm going to do, whether I'm a trustee or not. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your question.
Okay, Paul. As far as helping Lawrence Township, if I don't get elected, I mean, I coach 6-year-old softball. I coach 8-year-old softball for Tusky Valley. I'm the field manager for TVBSA. I'm going to keep helping the community any way I can and giving back. That's what I'm going to do if I'm not elected.
Can I add something? Can I add something?
Go ahead.
I am going to miss loading the hoppers, though, the waste hoppers on the weekends, because that's actually fun. If you enjoy driving a backhoe, it's actually fun doing that. It's fun work.
Roxanne, I think you had something to say?
Yeah, this would take a considerable amount of time and effort, which I'm definitely willing to do. But if not elected, I'm going to continue doing the things that I felt God has been leading me to do. One is writing. I have 3 books out, including a children's book, and I have a devotional, and I have a novel that I wrote. And so I continue to do that, and I'm currently writing a nonfiction book on anxiety, which is funny right now. And so I continue to do that, and I also have, in my shop, I have a classroom suite, and in there I have, I consider it my ministry outreach of Ohio Armament, which I call Fruitful in Tusk. And I'm really trying to get teachers and leaders and people who want to help others learn things. Right now we have a craft night, usually twice a month, but I'm looking for people to help teach knitting, painting, any kind of things that I'm trying to give back to the community in some classes right there in Strasburg, which is only 5 miles down the road. It's not that far. Some people think it is, but that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Anybody else would like to ask a question? I saw in the back, in the black, I saw your hand first. Oh, Lauren.
Good evening. So, Matt has a proven track record of obtaining grants and being helpful to his community as trustee. He has a long-running grant of that. I know that personally in my role at the Ohio Department of Transportation. So I ask those that are running as candidates, what do you have to offer in that's different from what Matt has offered us over the years as an existing trustee? What can you bring to the table that he hasn't already?
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Dante.
I talked about this a little bit already. You know, Matt's a sports guy. He likes basketball. He told me that at the last trustee meeting. He said, I like basketball. We got a basketball court.
I'm a basketball official. That's a glutton for punishment.
That's more of it, yeah. So he likes basketball. I have an 8-year-old child. He's going to be 9 in a couple weeks, and I want a playground. So I'm going to work to write grants for a playground. I'm going to work to write grants to improve our park with more than just a basketball court. And I may not have the experience that Matt has, but I'm definitely going to lean on him after this to see if he can help me write these grants that he's been writing for the past 20 years. So it's up to him whether he helps me or not. If he doesn't help me, I do have a thing called Google and the internet that's awfully helpful too. So I'll be using that a lot. In my life, I'm self-employed. We take time to do what we need to do when we need to do, whether it's run the business for this hour this morning, or like last night when I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning working on these questions. So this morning, I wasn't able to go to work. I was working on questions. So you move that aside, you work on this. That's what I can do for the township. I'm flexible. I can move things around. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to answer?
I will. On that note, I have not written as many grants as Matt, but you know, I keep going back to the fire department. That's my experience. That's what I know, and we have written at the fire department. I don't even have a number. A lot of grant money comes through the fire department, saves taxpayer dollars. So I do have some grant writing experience and have been involved in that process. And like, you know, Dante said, you know, I'm willing to go the extra mile and do what needs done. That's why I'm a part of 7, 8 different organizations and volunteer so much of my time, because I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to continue to do that.
Anyone else? Paul?
So I have 0 grant writing expertise, but I'm going to work with the other 2 trustees and see what's worked and what needs done, and whatever needs done, we'll get it done. But yeah, I mean, to do more than what Matt's done, at this point, I'm not going to do more than what Matt's done. It's going to take time and a team effort, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get it done.
Very good. Would you like to comment, Roxanne?
Yeah, I would say it's not about doing what he hasn't done. It's can we do it more effectively? If you want new people, then you need to give them a shot. If people are going to complain that it's the same people over and over again, well, then they are the voters. So if you want new people, yes, there's a learning curve, but numbers and writing are my gifts. So, but you'll only know when we get in there and we can actually start participating and doing it. So it's not a matter of what he isn't doing, it's a matter of, is there something that maybe I can do better? Thank you.
Gentleman in the back in the plaid, I saw your hand up.
How you doing? My name's Steve Panko. I've lived here since 2015, and I hear a lot of talk of building up and adding on. One candidate used the word Mayberry. And I will tell you, when I moved to this town, it freaked me out. I was from Jackson. Coming down here, it was weird. There was Mayberry. It was party fight. I've come to love this town. So my question to the candidates are, would like all of you to answer to those people that live here that don't want a lot of add-ons. We want to shop, we can go 20 minutes north, we can go 20 minutes south. We want to keep this town small. And I get adding on to get some money for the town, but you got to watch where you add on. So there's a lot of people in this town that moved here for this reason, for the Mayberry community. Thank you.
Wasn't necessarily a question, but would anybody like to comment?
I'll go first. I definitely think there is a balance. I lived in Norfolk and then Virginia Beach and then Suffolk, and I had a Sam's Club 3 minutes from me and a Sonic, which I would love to have a Sonic. But with that comes a whole nother level of things. So I agree. I love the small townness, and then also bringing in a balance of newness, bringing in those new businesses and bringing in those opportunities. And I think the only way to thread that is to try new things and see where the people and coming out to the meetings and giving your opinions when they have those situations. I think that's the most important thing to do is to get involved. If you want small, come out and make your voice known. If you want more, come out and make your voice known. But it is a balancing act, I would agree. And I think that's something we just have to work together as a community.
Anybody else like to comment?
Yeah, I'll go. You gonna go? Yep, if you want to.
You know, to her point, you know, like the great thing about our community is that it isn't a Jackson Township and it isn't a Canton or a Massillon, but I also, you know, it's such an attractive place to live, and being on 77 and we have all this space available for growth. You know, places like Mazzarelli's and, you know, maybe other banks or whatever, you know, it's an attractive place to go. So the change or the growth is going to happen, I think, even if we are not actively pursuing that. So we need to find a way and manage that change effectively, because it's going to happen regardless of whether we want it or not. So that's kind of my point.
Hi, my name is Dante Mariani. I'm running for Township Trustee. No, I agree with what both of them said, and it's true. Change is inevitable, but we do also have a Mayberry effect here. If you look at the village of Bolivar, all the neighbors know each other, and everybody helps each other. And when we had that tornado that went through a couple years ago, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and all the neighbors were outside checking with each other and going through. If you don't remember, I'll show you pictures. It blew up our fence. We had pieces of different property in all our neighbors' houses. It was crazy, but it was minor, and we got through it. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, all the neighbors were outside helping each other and making sure everybody was okay. It was pitch black because there was no power, but we had flashlights. They were helping me pick up pieces of my fence and checking on all the elderly people in the neighborhood. That's Mayberry. It's going to still be Mayberry because the community is what determines the Mayberry effect. not what's built up around you. I think we still need playgrounds, we still need lighting, and we still need these things to make quality of life for our residents good. And it doesn't take away from the Mayberry effect. You can build up around you, you can build up in a smart way, you can build things that the residents want and ask for, and you'll still have the Mayberry effect. So our little town is going to grow. There's nothing you can do about that. Growth is inevitable. But we can grow in the right way, we can grow in a controlled way, and if I'm township trustee, I'm going to help make that happen.
Anybody else want to comment? Paul?
The Mayberry that you're talking about, that's why me and my wife are raising our family here. We love everything about the community. Like everybody else said, growth is inevitable, but I mean, that's why we have the township. If there's something we don't want here, we don't think needs to be here, that's why we come together as a community and voice our opinions and say why we don't think they need to be here. And I mean, we're gonna grow. We just have to manage it. That's all there is to it.
My response is going to be a little, I guess, unexpected. There isn't going to be as much growth as you think because the Army Corps of Engineers dictates there's a lot of property that's someone might normally look on the map and think is buildable. It really isn't buildable. I've seen Nikki Moore here. The house I think she just bought, the Dover floodplain control comes all the way up to her foundation on her house. There's a lot of property. There's 3/4 of an acre of the mash factory. Everyone can visualize the mash factory. They weren't allowed to put it in the parking lot because Eric Downing of the Army Corps of Engineers said it was in the floodplain. So you guys got to put that in perspective. There isn't quite as much growth as you would think with the Dover Dam and the Bolivar Dam spillway elevations. But kudos to the small business owners that are in the community. Let's not attract the franchises. We love this community because of the success of Rich and Tina Dotz at Towpath, Kayla and Ashley, Zach Salapak, Andrew and Lauren Marburger at Bonds, everyone like that. You know, that's what we love about this community is because it's Mayberry. You are going to have growth. I mean, remember, some people were upset when McDonald's first got built, and then we got the lights. Now everyone wants turning lanes. You know, Lauren, I badger her continuously because everybody, we got to have a light at the intersection of County Road 103 and State Route 212. And that's all you're talking about on the best of Bolivar. And your lights are great, but the Village of Bolivar pays $2,600 a month in their electric bill. So think about that. If you put electric up, who's going to pay for it? We have 3 allotments here. So everything is going to have, it's a give and a take. It's a yin and a yang. As everyone knows, it's not perfect. You do get the Dollar Generals, but at the same time, you can't zone stuff like that out. So there will be some growth, but not nearly as much as you think. The Wilkshire Golf Course, you got to think about why was there a conservancy group trying to make that a conservancy? Because only 82 of the 92 acres was in the floodplain. So you got to put that in perspective. If it was all buildable, then developers would have came in and probably would have offered $20 million for that property, right? So they tried to sell it to a conservancy because it was more advantageous for them. Our board didn't say no because government shouldn't tell individuals what to do. We just didn't take any action, told them to try to sell it to somebody first and then maybe next year come back, right? Because the Clean Ohio grants that they were going to get to make it a conservancy is a reoccurring annual thing through the state. So be diligent, try to sell it to keep it a golf course, and then if not, come back to us and our board can take action later. Our board did not say no, we just didn't say anything, which killed it, and then they eventually found an owner and kept it local and kept it operational. So as with anything, guys, it's just common sense and you just have to work through it.
Any other questions in the audience? Yes, in front.
So how do we keep what we have? Doesn't grants run out at some point? I mean, some are renewable, but aren't some of them run out? And then what do you do?
That's why you need a long-term plan.
Huh?
That's why you need a long-term plan, 5, 10, 20 years.
No, actually, you bring up an interesting question. The Ohio Erie Canal Towpath Trail, I will say, is is kind of like my pet peeve on the question you just asked. It's unbelievable how they'll throw millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, the federal and state government, to people that will take on projects like the Towpath Trail. Some people love it. I mean, the bridge, John Elsasser, who worked with Congressman Gibbs, the bridge over I-77 cost $2.1 million. A lot of people were really upset when that bridge was built because they're like, I would rather fix I-77 than put a bridge for the Towpath Trail over, you know, just for horses and bikes and people to hike. But we kind of do see the success, but there's no money out there to pay for somebody to maintain the Towpath Trail. So, like Dante was saying, trash cans, the Towpath Trail Tusk Parks tried to install trash cans, and then they didn't have the money to hire somebody to empty them. So that's why it's pack in, pack out. So it's you bring up an interesting point. That's where you really strategically have to hit your foundations. Rosenberry, Reeves, Kimball, Mr. Sears, you have to hit your foundations, your philanthropists that are extremely generous, because it's the same reason why all the sports, Paul is going to be wore out, he's going to see it firsthand. We don't have a parks department, so it's the parents, it's the coaches. When I coached all my kids, they'll tell you, I loaded up the tractor, I went there, I mowed the grass, and I took my bagger and I bagged it and put it in the back of the truck because I wanted the field to be perfect. Because I have OCD. As anyone knows my parents, they know I had to pick up leaves by hand in my yard growing up. So.
Anyone else like to comment on that?
I will. Thanks, Robin. Thanks for coming, and thanks for your question. I don't know much about grants either, but I do know that you do have to reapply sometimes, right? So when, like Matt was saying, he kept the compost thing there for years after year after year after year. And there were times where we almost lost that compost option. And then at the last minute, Matt came on the Best of Bolivar when he was part of it. He'd say, you can compost your stuff now because I got you more money. And I think that was great. I think that was a great service. So if I become trustee, I have to look at Matt as a leader and with his experience and his grant writing, and I have to do the same thing, right? We have to continue that same path that Matt has forged ahead for us. Not only in grant writing, not only in the composting, but in everything that he's done. I mean, I'm not running against Matt. I'm running for the job. I think Matt has done a great job, and if he gets reelected, will continue to do a great job. But maybe it's my turn. Maybe it's time for change. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? All right, folks. Well, we're almost at the 2-hour mark, 12 minutes till. I want to thank everybody for coming. This is our first time ever doing this. And me and Mike just kind of threw this together, and I think this was a great outcome. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, candidates. Again, shout out Matt Moore with Moore Media. This was recorded, so I think he should probably have it up. I don't know when he'll have it up, but probably within the next couple days, we'll be able to view this, and we'll post it on the Best of Bolivar and wherever else. So again, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.